found in the fire flames danced through the broken metal of the crashed alien ship. Smoke curled into the orange sky and ash fell like snow. The forest nearby was quiet. Too quiet. No birds, no wind. Just the sound of fire cracking and something breathing. James Carter moved slowly through the wreckage, his boots crunching on broken glass and steel. He was a human explorer, working alone on this ruined planet. His job was to salvage tech from abandoned ships. But this time something was different. He had heard a sound, a soft sound, a cry. He pulled out his scanner. The signal was faint, weak, life signs inside the crashed ship. The scanner blinked red. No time to waste. James pulled a heavy steel door open. Heat blasted into his face and the smoke burned his eyes. But he stepped inside. The hallway was half destroyed. Wires sparked. The floor groaned under his weight. Then he heard it again. A soft voice, a whisper. Please. James rushed toward the sound. He moved past a burning panel and saw a figure under a pile of debris. A body, no, someone alive, a woman, alien. Her skin was silver with a soft glow. Long white hair stuck to her face, soaked in blood and dust. She was barely breathing. Her eyes opened slowly when James knelt beside her. One of her arms was twisted. Her legs were trapped. He spoke gently. Hey, I'm here to help you. Don't move. She blinked slowly. Her lips trembled. Don't leave me. James pushed the metal off her legs and lifted her into his arms. She was so light, like carrying a feather. Her head rested against his chest and she closed her eyes. As he carried her through the fire, something strange happened. Her skin began to glow brighter. Her hand moved slowly and touched his heart. Her lips moved again. Bond. He didn't understand, not yet, but he didn't stop. He kicked open the exit door, stepped into the ash-filled air and ran from the wreckage. Behind him, the ship exploded. James reached his camp, an old bunker hidden in the hills. He laid her down gently on the bed, grabbed the medkit, and cleaned her wounds. She was unconscious but breathing. For hours, she slept. He stayed close, watching her. Her body temperature was rising, unusual for her kind. He had read files about her species. Ellerin, a proud alien race with royal bloodlines and strong traditions, but this was the first time he had seen one up close. This was the first time he had touched one. When she finally opened her eyes, the first thing she saw was him. She stared for a long moment, then she whispered again, her voice soft but clear. You saved me. James nodded. Yeah, you were in pretty bad shape. She sat up slowly. Her hair fell around her shoulders like silver threads. She looked down at her chest, at the bandages. She touched the spot where his hand had pressed against her earlier. You carry honor, she said quietly. James smiled. Thanks, I guess. She looked around. Her eyes landed on the fire lamp, the human food packs, the books stacked in the corner. You are human. Yes. My name is James. She placed her hand on her heart. I am Telena. James repeated it, trying not to mispronounce it. Telena? She nodded. Correct. Then she said a strange thing. My people, when saved in death's hour, must bond. James raised an eyebrow. Bond? Telena's face grew serious. Life saved must be joined, or the one who saved will be hunted. James laughed nervously. Wait, are you saying I'm in danger because I saved you? She didn't answer. Instead, she reached for a small necklace around her neck, a pendant with a glowing crystal. She held it out to him. The bond must be complete, or both souls suffer. James stared at the glowing pendant. This wasn't just a rescue. It was the start of something much bigger. Something strange. Something dangerous. The woman with no name, Telena, opened her eyes to silence. She lay under warm covers in a room lit by soft yellow light. Her silver skin was bandaged, her body aching but alive. The last thing she remembered was fire, metal, pain, and the human man's arms holding her. Now she was safe. But where was she? She tried to sit up. Her muscles shook. A strange earthy smell filled the air. Something rich, smoky, unfamiliar. She looked around the room. It wasn't a ship. It was a shelter, handmade, with human tools and wires. On the table beside her were broken tech pieces and a carved, wooden figure of a woman. She blinked. What was this place? Just then the door opened. The human entered. Tall, worn jacket, tired eyes. He carried a small metal bowl and walked slowly toward her. "You're awake," he said, voice calm. She didn't answer. "I'm James," he added. "You were in a bad crash. I pulled you out. You nearly burned alive." Still, she said nothing. Her eyes followed his every move. She studied him, not with fear but with sharp, guarded curiosity. James placed the bowl near her. It had warm broth, thin and steaming. "Eat," he said softly. "Your body needs it." She didn't touch it. Instead, she pointed to herself. "Telena," she said slowly, then she frowned. "I think." James tilted his head. "You're not sure?" She shook her head. "My mind is broken. Some memory lost." Her hand went to her head. "My name is all I have." James sat across from her. "That's something. Better than nothing." She looked at him again. "You touched me." He blinked. "Yeah, I had to. You were dying. You carried me. Through fire." He nodded slowly. She stared at her hands. "Where I come from, that is not allowed." "Why?" he asked. Her voice dropped. "Only one may carry another through death's door. Only a soulmate." James gave a short laugh. "Look, lady, I was just trying to save your life." But she didn't laugh. Her eyes didn't blink. "You may not understand," she said quietly, "but I owe you something great. My people, do not let such debts stay unpaid." He leaned back, growing uneasy. "You don't have to repay me." Telena turned her face to the wall. "You don't understand. You're already part of it." Later that night, James sat near the fire trying to make sense of what she had said. She barely remembered anything, but her words kept echoing in his mind. Only one may carry another through death's door. My people do not let such debts stay unpaid. He opened his datapad and began searching old alien texts. His connection was weak, but one document came through, Customs of the Alaran Highborn. James scrolled. To rescue a dying highborn without permission is to enter the ceremony of life debt. If left unfulfilled within 3 planetary rotations, both souls face unrest, mental damage, exile, or ritual trial. He sat upright. 3 days? He looked back at the sleeping woman in his bed. Who had he saved? The next morning she was stronger. She stood in the sunlight touching a plant with curious fingers. Her skin shimmered like polished moonlight, and her white hair fell across her shoulders like silk. James stepped beside her. You're healing fast. My kind. Rebuild quickly after bonding, she said, not looking at him. Bonding? He asked. You keep saying that. What does it mean? She turned. It means we are linked now. The moment you touched my core, you took a part of me, and I took a part of you. James shook his head. No offense, but I didn't agree to any of this. Telena's eyes narrowed. Nor did I ask to be saved, but the universe witnessed it, and now we are bound. He stared at her. So what happens if we ignore it? She was quiet for a moment, then she whispered, we both start to lose our minds. James took a step back. You're kidding. I wish I were. He looked at her again. Really looked. Telena wasn't just some stranger. She wasn't just an alien survivor. She was someone whose world had rules, rules that now included him, whether he liked it or not. Chosen by her blood, the stars above the planet flickered like cold fireflies. Inside James's shelter, tension grew with every passing hour. Telena no longer looked like a dying stranger. Her wounds had healed faster than expected. Her strength was returning. But with it came something new, something ancient in her eyes. James didn't sleep that night. He sat near the door, weapon close, eyes half open. She had told him everything, or at least enough to make his skin crawl. Not only had he rescued her, he had unknowingly stepped into a sacred ritual of the Ellerin royal bloodline. 3 days. That's all he had. 3 days to either complete the bond or both of them would be cursed by her people's law, his sanity broken, her bloodline dishonored. But there was something even worse. She was hiding something. Morning came. The skies were dark with clouds. James cooked simple rations and tried to ignore the way she stared at him. "Telena," he said finally, "what aren't you telling me?" She was quiet. Her eyes, once soft, now seemed distant. "I'm not just any Ellerin," she said after a pause. "I carry the mark of the lastborn." "What does that mean?" She pulled her sleeve up, revealing a shimmering tattoo glowing faintly under her skin. It was shaped like a circle with broken lines pulsing gently with light. James leaned in. "Is that tech?" "No," she whispered. "It's blood memory." He frowned. "What's blood memory?" She looked him in the eyes. "It means I carry the history of my entire line, from the first queen to me. If I die without bonding, my people's legacy dies with me." James felt the weight of those words settle in the room. So it wasn't just about her, this was bigger, political, cultural, sacred. "Why didn't they send guards with you?" he asked. "They did," she answered quietly. "They're all dead." Later, that afternoon, James walked outside to breathe. The air was thick with dust. He activated his scanner and widened the range. That's when he saw it. Movement. At least 3 figures. Alien heat signatures closing in fast. He ran back inside. "We've got company," he said. Telena didn't look surprised. "They've found me," she said. James grabbed his rifle. "Your people?" She shook her head. "No, the ones who want me dead." Within minutes, black armored soldiers landed near the camp. James and Telena took cover. Blaster fire lit up the hillside. He shot back, covering her as she moved behind metal crates. She didn't scream. She didn't panic. She whispered something instead. A word James couldn't understand. Suddenly, the earth shook. A light burst. From her palm, a wall of force flung the soldiers backward. James stared in shock. "What did you just do?" Telena's body trembled. "The bond is waking me." "What?" "Our souls are linked now. The closer we get, the more my power returns. And yours will change too." He shook his head. "No way, I'm just a man." She stepped closer, her voice steady. "No, James, you were chosen by my blood. You carry it now, and they will come. Not just for me, but for you." That night the shelter was quiet again. Telena sat by the fire, hands folded. James sat beside her, unsure of what to believe anymore. He finally asked, "If I do this, if I agree to bond, what happens?" She looked at him. "In the eyes of my people we become one. My soul is yours, yours is mine. We cannot walk away, not ever. And if I say no?" She touched the glowing tattoo on her arm. It dimmed a little. "I lose my birthright. You lose your mind. And the blood of my ancestors is gone forever." James looked at his hands. They were shaking. But it wasn't fear. It was change. Something was already happening inside him. And he knew this wasn't just about saving someone anymore. This was destiny. Marriage or death thunder rolled across the sky like a warning. James stood outside the bunker, staring at the mountains. His hands were dirty, his mind heavier than ever. Just yesterday he had been a salvager, alone, forgotten by most. Now he was caught in something ancient, sacred, and deadly. Inside, Telena prepared in silence. She had cleaned her wounds, combed her silver hair, and changed into ceremonial fabric found in the wreckage, rich purple with glowing lines across the shoulders. It shimmered in the low light, making her look like a queen again, but her face was not proud. It was full of quiet pain. James finally walked back in. He closed the door and leaned against it. "You look different," he said. Telena didn't smile. "The bond must be done by sunrise. It is tradition. It is law." James sighed. "And if it's not?" Her eyes met his. "Then I lose my right to lead. You lose your soul. And we both become hunted." He crossed his arms. "This still doesn't make sense. Why would your people force something like this?" She stood slowly, her voice calm but heavy. "Because we are not raised to live for ourselves. We are raised for duty. Survival of the bloodline is everything. Emotion comes later." James chuckled bitterly. "So this is just paperwork to your people?" Telena stepped forward. "To them, maybe, but not to me." He looked at her sharply. "What does that mean?" She hesitated. Then, softly, she said, "I remember now. Before the crash, I saw your name on a mission log. You were near our sector. I had heard of the human who saved villages no one else would enter." He frowned. "You knew about me? I respected you. Before we even met." James turned away, heart pounding. That night she lit a fire in the center of the room and placed the glowing pendant between them. The ritual was not just words, it was energy, shared and sealed in light. James sat across from her, silent. Telena reached out with trembling fingers and placed her palm over his chest, the spot where his heart beat strongest. "You are not bound by force," she said. "You still have a choice." James looked into her eyes. They weren't just alien. They were tired, scared, real. He could say no. He could walk out that door. But in doing so, he wouldn't just be leaving her behind. He'd be letting something rare, something true, fade from the universe. And deep inside, he didn't want that. He placed his hand gently over hers. "I'm not afraid of being tied to you," he whispered. "I'm afraid of losing myself in something I don't understand." She gave a faint smile. "Then we understand each other. Because I've felt lost since the moment I woke in your arms." But just as the ceremony began, a sharp sound cracked through the silence. Boom! The wall behind them shook. James jumped up, grabbing his weapon. Telena's glow dimmed. "They've found us again," she said. "But these are not scouts. These are the judges." James's blood turned cold. "Judges? They carry no mercy. If they see the bond incomplete, they will kill me for dishonor, and you for contamination." The door burst open. Figures in dark robes entered, eyes hidden under gold helmets. They held long staffs crackling with energy. One pointed directly at James. "Outsider, the bond is not sealed. You were warned." Telena stepped in front of him. He gave me his hand, freely. He honors the right. One judge raised a staff. It is not complete, and the sun rises in moments. James had seconds to decide. He stepped forward. No more running. He took her hands, held them tight. "Let it be done, right here, right now." Light burst around them like a star being born. The judges shielded their eyes, and when the glow faded, James and Telena stood together, bonded, alive, whole, and unstoppable. The enemy strikes. The air smelled like metal and fire. The bonding light was still fading from the shelter's walls when the silence cracked again, this time with blaster fire. One of the judges fell first, his golden helmet shattered. James didn't. "Wait." He grabbed Telena's arm and pulled her down as plasma shots tore through the wooden roof like paper. The ritual was complete, but there was no time to feel safe. "Back wall," James shouted. "There's a hidden exit." Telena's eyes glowed faintly, still charged from the bond, but her breath was shaky and her fingers trembled. She had just shared her soul with him. Now the enemy had come to rip them apart. Outside the bunker, a dark, bone-like ship hovered over the camp. Alien soldiers dropped from it, cloaked in shadow armor, their faces hidden behind fang-shaped masks. These were not Ilaran. They were the Drakkar, an outlaw species that hunted royal bloodlines. They believed the Ilaran line must be erased, and, now that Telena had completed her bond with a human, they saw her as even more dangerous. "Kill the bonded pair," the Drakkar captain growled. "Take the crystal. Burn the rest." James rolled behind a crate, rifle ready. "Guess your old enemies don't like weddings." Telena gave a weak smile. "They fear what we've become." A plasma shot barely missed her cheek. James fired, back hitting one Drakkar in the shoulder. Another moved in from the side. Suddenly a pulse of light shot from Telena's palm. The air cracked, and the soldier turned to stone before collapsing. James stared. "You can do that now?" "I don't know how," she said, panting. "It's the bond. You woke something ancient in me." He glanced down. His skin was glowing faintly too. "What if I've got something like that inside me now?" Telena didn't answer, because more enemies were charging toward them. Inside the shelter, the judges regrouped. One elder stepped forward and threw down a binding stone, which created a shimmering energy wall to buy them time. "You have completed the ceremony," he said to Telena, "but your union has awakened a forgotten power." James turned. "You knew this could happen?" "Yes, that's why we feared your bond with a human." "What is it? What did we awaken?" The judge answered with words heavy like mountains. "The last time a royal soul bonded with a human, it nearly destroyed the Ilaran homeworld. 2 hearts became one, and their joined spirit became something no weapon could stop." Telena's voice shook. "But that was only a legend." The judge replied, "Not anymore." Suddenly, the Drakkar sent in their beast. It roared like thunder, a 4-armed armored brute taller than any human with molten eyes and steel horns. It smashed the energy wall with a single blow. James aimed and fired, but the bullets bounced off. "Get back!" he yelled, but the monster was too fast. It knocked him down with one swing. Telena screamed. The beast lunged, and in that moment, time slowed. James saw the beast's claws in the air. Telena leapt without thinking, placing her body between James and the monster. She screamed a command in her native tongue, and the pendant on her chest exploded with light. The beast froze. It dropped to its knees, then turned to ash. James sat up coughing, eyes wide. Telena stood before him, her hands smoking, her eyes burning with pure silver flame. What did you just do?" he asked. She looked at him, almost scared of herself. "I protected my bonded one. You just killed a monster with a scream." "I didn't know I could." James touched his chest. His heartbeat was different, strong, fast, connected. "Changing," he whispered. "But so am I." The judges knelt behind them. "The bond has awakened the old blood," one said. Lena's voice was soft. "Then we will face what comes next. Together." Her secret awakens. The ash from the dead beast hadn't even cooled. James stared at his hands. They still tingled, as if lightning had touched them. But it wasn't just shock. He felt something inside him shift, something not human. Across from him, Telena stood like a being reborn. Her silver skin shimmered with power. Her white hair floated slightly as though pulled by invisible winds. Her eyes, once filled with fear, now burned with deep purpose. But James also noticed something else. Telena was afraid, not of the enemy outside, but of herself. Later, that night, while the remaining judges guarded the shelter's edge, James sat with her near the flickering fire. He broke the silence. "You've changed." She nodded slowly. "So have you." "I can feel it," he whispered. Like something is inside me. Something that doesn't belong. Telena took a deep breath. I must tell you a truth no one else knows, she said. James leaned forward. Go on. She pointed to her chest, where the glowing pendant had cracked slightly from the last battle. This isn't just a symbol of our bond, she said. It's a key. It holds a sealed memory, passed down from every royal bloodline before me. James narrowed his eyes. A memory? Telena touched the pendant gently. It pulsed once. Then she whispered something in Alaran, and the flames turned blue. Images began to form in the air above them, like a hologram made of smoke and light. James saw a human man, thousands of years ago, standing beside an alien queen. They held hands, but behind them was fire. Worlds burning, fleets falling, and then the two unleashed a storm of energy so powerful it cracked a moon in half. James gasped. What? Is this? Telena's voice trembled. This is the truth of the first bond. A human and an Alaran once shared a soul, and their power nearly destroyed the stars. My ancestors erased this from history, but I carry it. And now, so do you. James stood, pacing. Why would they erase something like this? Telena looked into the fire. Because it scared them. Love between species, soul sharing. It made them feel small. They feared that if humans and Alaran joined again, no one could control what came next. James sat back down, eyes still wide. So what does this mean for us? It means we are not just bonded, she said softly. We are the echo of something greater, something dangerous, and you were never supposed to survive that crash, were you? Telena nodded. They set the ship's path to fail. A quiet way to end the last heir. But fate changed the plan. When you found me. Suddenly, James felt heat in his chest. He pulled back his shirt. A faint glowing mark had appeared over his heart. It was the same symbol Telena carried on her arm. Telena gasped. It's already begun. James stared at the mark. What is it? The merging, she whispered. The moment you risked your life for me, the bond started. Now it's growing, and when it's complete, you'll carry my blood and I'll carry your soul. Outside, thunder cracked again. The judges returned, their faces dark. They are calling for a purge, one of them said. The Alaran Council will send an execution squad. They believe your bond must be broken. They believe the power you carry is too much. James stood up. Let them come. Telena looked at him. You would fight your own death sentence? James smirked, eyes burning with a strange new glow. I didn't come all this way to watch you be erased. And if I have to carry part of you, then I'll protect it with everything I've got. Telena stepped forward, eyes softening. She reached out and touched the mark on his chest. Then she whispered something ancient. James didn't understand the words, but he felt them in his bones. Her secret wasn't just a story. It was inside him now. The bond complete. The sun was rising slowly over the horizon, its golden rays cutting through the dust-filled skies of the ruined planet. But inside the bunker, time felt frozen. James stood still as the glowing mark on his chest pulsed like a heartbeat. Across from him, Telena whispered ancient words passed down from the Alaran royal line, words no human had ever heard spoken during the final rite of soul bonding. Outside, the ground rumbled. A giant ship, sleek, black, and armed for war, descended. From the sky, the Alaran Council had arrived, not for peace, but for judgment. Inside the ship, elite enforcers readied their weapons. Their orders were clear. Terminate the bond. Erase the human. Cleanse the line. But they didn't understand what had awakened between James and Telena. They believed they were dealing with fear, with weakness. What they were walking into was unity beyond species. Telena looked at James. Her silver eyes shimmered with something more than power, faith. You still have a choice, she said. If we run, maybe we survive. If we fight, he interrupted her. I don't want to run, not from them, not from this. He took her hand. We finish the bond. We show them who we are, together. She nodded. No hesitation. The judges stepped back. Then let the final rite begin. Telena placed both hands over James's heart. He placed his palms over her temples. Their eyes locked, their breathing synced, and then everything exploded in light. From the sky, the council ship began to shake. Energy spike detected, shouted a soldier. Where is it coming from? The bunker. It's off the scale. Before they could react, the ground beneath them cracked. A massive pillar of light burst upward like a geyser, golden, silver, and humming with ancient power. Their sensors fried, their weapons jammed. Then came the voice, a voice that echoed across their systems, not from a speaker, from their own minds. You do not understand what you fear. You cannot kill what is already won. The soldiers dropped their weapons, eyes wide in panic. Down below, James and Telena floated slightly above the floor, their bodies wrapped in glowing bands of light. Their bond was now complete, not just by tradition, but by choice. She had given him her legacy. He had given her his humanity. Together they had become something new. Not queen and soldier. Not alien and human, but a living bridge between worlds. The council's final command was never given. Their ship powered down, and slowly, quietly, it retreated into the sky. They had come to destroy something unnatural. Instead, they had witnessed something undeniable. Later, when the light faded, James stood on the hilltop with Telena by his side. She no longer looked like a fugitive, and he no longer felt like a man alone in the stars. I don't know what we are now, he said softly. Telena leaned her head against his shoulder. We are what comes next. Below them, small ships began to arrive. Survivors, curious explorers, even some Ilaran from other clans. Word had spread. The last heir had bonded with a human. But no one came to challenge them. Because the bond wasn't just legal. It was legend, reborn. As the wind carried their names across the sky, two hearts, once strangers across galaxies, beat as one, not because of law, not because of duty, but because in the fire, they chose each other. The end.